and welcome back to the Fix It Football podcast. Yes, we are back on video, so it's good to see everyone. Hope you can see us well, and this has all gone to plan. As you can see, I'm joined by Liam O'Meara. Liam, how are you?
Very well, Martin. Thank you. How are you doing? You okay?
I'm good. We'll get into that in the second half, because this half has got to all be about Liverpool. Yes. Unfortunately for me, and fortunately for you, as the secret WhatsApp Liverpool fan that you are, we can get into Liverpool's title-winning season. It's all been confirmed now. We've been waiting for it for a few weeks, but here we are. Here, Liverpool are champions of the Premier League, and I think it's right that we discuss it.
Absolutely.
What are your initial thoughts?
Well, it's been done for a while, but it was a case of them getting over the line, wasn't it? Which
yeah.
The last two league wins that Liverpool have had, the ones of our lifetimes, they've both been a procession, really. They've not really been challenged in either of those runs. So I think for a long time...
Last one of our lifetimes. Oh, sorry,
including this one. Yeah, including this one. So, yeah, it's been a procession. It's just been a case of them getting over the line. And there was a bit of a talk, wasn't there, with them maybe stuttering a little bit towards the end. But if you actually take a step back and look at the form, they haven't really done that. They've relentlessly charged to the title, really. So they absolutely deserve winners.
Yeah, I agree. Painfully so, I agree. They thoroughly deserve it. And, I mean, what else can you say? Let's face it, no one, and you can go through all predictions, not just ours, but no one had Liverpool really putting a title charge together this season, especially coming off the back of Klopp and what he'd done, where they were with an aging Van Dijk and an aging Salah and disputes about the midfield and stuff. So it sort of brings me nicely onto Arne Slot and our impressions of him in his debut season. I'll let you go first. Tell me your thoughts.
It is interesting, isn't it? With hindsight, though, before we talk about Slot, think you're at the prediction, because they were in a title race for a lot of last season.
Yeah. Until like April last season.
They were well in the title race. They were top for quite a lot of last season, weren't they, if I remember rightly? So
yeah.
It's not that much of a shock if you consider that, but you're right. No one predicted it. None of us did. No one really predicted it because of the idea of Klopp being so wedded to it. But Slot has come in and really taken what Klopp has done and ran with that. I think that people talked about a lot of subtle changes. I've not seen that many changes, to be completely honest. I think they still look like a team that looks to counter as much as possible. They look to swarm. They look to have high energy. They've got two of the best fullbacks in the league still. Andy Robertson, he doesn't get anywhere near the praise that some of the other core players do, but he's been, I think, as good as any left-back's been in the Premier League. I know people looked at Ashley Cole as the number one, but Andy Robertson is easily top three. He's been an absolute stalwart of that team, and they've just been relentless. And I've not seen too much different from Klopp's team. And what do you think? Do you think is it changed much in your view?
I think the midfield was a problem area for Klopp last season. With you see him when they brought Endo in last season. Did they bring him in last January, if I'm right, to sort of shore up the middle bit? And then they also had Gravenberch, who didn't really hit the ground running last season, who did this season. I think he was the big bonus from the early part of the season for them. And really, it was sort of Gravenberch then, plus any two or three of Elliott, Jones, Szoboszlai, and McAllister. And there was a sort of vying for that, but he made himself indispensable really to that team.
Well, Gravenberch is an interesting one, isn't it? Because there's no noise now about Liverpool being back in for Zubimendi. They seem to not be in that. It seems to be between you and Real Madrid. You've been Arsenal for things. So, Gravenberch has been a real success story for them, hasn't he? Yeah.
And to be fair as well, I think his form may have tailed off a little bit from the middle of the season, but the work he put in at the beginning was enough to, put him in the shouts for, if someone was to say he would be the player of the season, there's not a lot they could argue against, because he's gone and been a massive part of a title winning side.
Yeah.
I think so. Slot has definitely done something there in that, whether it's it's just coincidence and great timing that Gravenberch found form, or there was little tweaks to that sort of system in there as well. I always loved when his name's gone. Curtis Jones has been in the side because I really like him as a player.
Good player, really good player.
I think he, although he plays the least minutes out of maybe them set of players, I'm going to put him alongside Szoboszlai and McAllister. I think he is the best complement to Gravenberch in that midfield.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think Curtis Jones is a fantastic player. Yeah. Really, really good player. And I think McAllister's been very good this season as well. I think Szoboszlai has been good, and he's been a bit more patchy in my view, and he's probably not got as many goals as they thought they were getting, because that's been a big feature of his game when he was in Germany.
Absolutely. And I think so. The next thing Slot will have done is the forward line and the front line, and there's a lot of talk about Darwin's form throughout the season and his temperament off the pitch as well, with certain tweets here and there. When you've got Mo Salah who can knock him in for fun left, right, and centre, especially the start of the season that he had as well. The way that Slot has juggled that front line with certain injuries, Diaz and Jota have spent their separate times out of the team through injury, and Gakpo went through a hot streak. Salah's just been hot all season, pretty much up until the last couple of weeks. So whatever Slot has had to do in terms of that front line and juggling that, I think has been a massive bonus for him.
Yeah, Gakpo's been a bit of a surprise as well for me, because I wasn't sure on him, to be completely honest. But he's popped up some really big goals as well, and he's not quite as at Firmino levels, but he seems to occupy a similar role in the team as Firmino does, where he complements other people in the team and does contribute with important goals. So he's had a much better season, I think.
That's fair. And I think another thing, like, rival fans may highlight this as a way, as sort of as a negative, as a slight on the fact that maybe add to the look that what Liverpool have had this season. But they've not had massive injuries throughout the team at any one point. I know Alisson was out for a significant period of time. Trent had dipped out, and like I said, Luis Diaz and Jota. But they were never really all at once. Them bits were spread out, and they were able to cover well, pretty much. But I think all title-winning sides generally do have high availability. Liverpool have not used a massive amount of players this season. I was looking at the thing that the Premier League put out about who gets a medal, and there's only 3 players who have featured this season who aren't entitled to a medal. So Chiesa is on 4 appearances.
Yeah.
And then there's something Dan's and another lad whose name I hadn't heard of before, who were both on 1 appearance, by the way.
Yeah, it's Neil Dan's son, isn't it? I can't remember his first name.
I don't know if it's Jordan, but
yeah.
Anyway, like I said, the rest of them are in double digits in terms of appearances. There's only 21 players that are qualifying for a medal, and that's relatively small in terms of a title-winning side.
Yeah, especially in the modern game with 5 substitutions. I'd agree with that. I think whilst that is true, I do believe that they do have good depth across the whole pitch, and it's sustained. A lot's been made of Slot, and we'll probably talk about what next season might look like, not having a huge window. I think Chiesa was the only one that they actually signed.
Yeah.
So, but they did have depth anyway. If you look at right back, Trent's not playing. They've got Conor Bradley, very competent Premier League player. They've got centre-back cover. That's probably an area where they'd look at in terms of getting another body in there.
I think so, especially with how unreliable Joe Gomez is. I quite like Gomez as a footballer, but he's just never available.
Yeah, I think Kwanzaa's not the level that they like either. But then you look at left-back Tsimikas. I mean, he would get into most teams.
He's a capable. I'm sure Liverpool fans would agree that they don't want to see Tsimikas as their number 1 choice left back, but if he has to be there, it's okay, and he'll do a job.
Yeah. So, and then you've already gone through the people in the forward line. And you've talked about the depth in the midfield. So I think that's been a big key fact for him.
Yeah, but their captain, their main chunk of the midfield, and their superstar striker have all been fit for almost all of the season, and that's just been a massive bonus. And that happens in title winning sides. That just happens. They've lost 2 games all season. They've barely drawn. They've been smashing out wins. They've developed that knack of scoring late, and even if they did fall behind, which wasn't actually too often, but when they did fall behind, they were always back in with a shout. They've been great. Like, I can't deny it. I hate it and I'm frustrated about it, but that's my own personal thing. They've been fantastic.
What about then? We kind of touched on this, but what about next season then? Can Liverpool sustain this? Van Dijk and Salah another year older?
Well, this is a good point. I do want to swing back round to this in a second. The other point I wanted to get at was, and I sort of touched on it in terms of how rival fans would view their win negatively, and that was the lack of challenge. And there's only really been Arsenal in with a shout at all season. We haven't actually been top at any point this season, which is mad. It's a mad stat that I looked up. There is, like, if you look at the league table, there's only Everton who have drawn more games than Arsenal. We've drawn 13 games, and that has just been this. This is a whole separate podcast into why Arsenal didn't win the league or didn't even really challenge for the league. But I don't want that to take away from what Liverpool have done, because they're
all worth the same. So they've won the title this year. It's worth the same as winning a title any other year. It makes no difference. They're all special. Every title win matters. So I mean, I can understand that idea, but they're probably going to eclipse 90 points.
I liken it to a lot of Chelsea's wins, because whenever you look at the Chelsea title wins, they weren't really neck and neck with someone until the final week of the season. They generally blew people away and ran away with it. That's pretty much how all of Chelsea's title wins have come. Is it 4 or 5 Chelsea have got? I think it's 5.
If only had a Chelsea expert.
If only
we had a Chelsea expert.
So, right, you were saying next season. Can they build on this? Is this a moment in the sun? We spoke about what the challenges will be at the beginning of this season, which they've clearly overcome. Can they do it again? Do they build on this? Because a few months ago, I said that I would be super surprised if Trent, Salah, and Van Dijk all stayed, which is a massive spine of that team. Now, with hindsight, now we know that Salah and Van Dijk will be staying. It's almost confirmed at this point that Trent will be off. So they will have to replace that, but that's not as big of a problem as replacing your centre-back captain and your main goal scorer.
No. I mean, financially, it's probably the one they would love to have sold the most, because that would be clear profit on PSR. But the thing is, they do have a lot of wiggle room on PSR, because, like we alluded to earlier, they didn't go nuts last summer. So they've got wiggle room there, and they probably are going to sell some players, I think, this summer. I think Kelleher will move this summer.
I think he's earned a move to be number 1 as well, which is fair. I don't think Liverpool fans will begrudge him leaving for that reason.
No, so it'd be interesting to see where he goes, really.
They've also already signed the replacement for Kelleher, the challenger for Alisson. Is it the Georgian goalkeeper? I'm not even going to attempt his name.
Marmadashvili, isn't it?
I'm going to let you attempt it.
Yes.
You are my resident Georgian name wrecker.
Yes. I'd forgotten about that transfer till you mentioned it then, but yes, they have. That's going to be interesting with Alisson.
He's very good as well, by the way.
Because I don't think, and I hope I've got it right now, but Marmadashvili, I don't think he's coming in to be a number 2.
He's certainly coming in to be a challenger. That's for sure.
So that is an interesting dynamic.
But yeah, you're right. In terms of players who they're going to sell, let's just have a look at the team and think who is potentially in and out this season, or positions that they need. Players out, I would highlight that they need a centre-back.
Yeah, and I think they'd move Quansah on as well, if they could. I think they would.
Then 2.
Yeah.
You're looking at a potential new fullback, whether you buy someone to challenge Conor Bradley, Or you buy
I would.
you buy an absolute star in that position to replace
Yeah,
Trent.
I would. I think I'm a big Conor Bradley fan. However, if I was wanting to win titles with Liverpool, I wouldn't want to have Conor Bradley as my sole right back with an understudy behind him. I'd want somebody coming in competing with him. If not, like you say, a star. And I think there's a sitting target there with Jeremy Frimpong at Leverkusen.
The other one I wanted to highlight would be centre forward, because there's loads of stink about Darwin Núñez. I don't think him and Slot are bezies. He's clearly been a bit disgruntled about being left out at times. You don't have to look too far on social media to find some other Darwin Núñez story. I think Liverpool fans have given him a lot of grace, but I think he's been a massive flop and failure for Liverpool. They give him some what's the word? They give him a bit of leeway because he looks like he's trying, and he does. But he's been a terrible signing for me, and I think he's probably still got some value that they can use that as leverage to.
There has been interest in him, hasn't there? Wasn't there some Saudi interest in January for him? And he was keen on it, but Liverpool were basically, no, not right now.
Ah, interesting. Well, again, it's just one that I would highlight as probably an out, as is maybe one of Jota or Luis Diaz.
Luis Diaz is an interesting one, I think. I don't think he's been at the levels many would have expected. Considering his early promise, I think as well. Yeah. I don't think he's necessarily been the level Liverpool would want because we're talking here about a title-winning team. So if you want someone to go and compete again next year, I would be a little bit underwhelmed. I think Jota hits those levels when he's fit, but he's just not, which is not enough. But Luis Diaz, I'm not 100% sold on, I must admit.
So there's a lot to go at here for Liverpool. I think they're clearly going to be busy this summer. Now, with that influx of players in and out and changes to the dressing room brings a whole new load of challenges for Slot. And the rivals will certainly be challenging. Villa will strengthen. Newcastle will strengthen. City will clearly be up to some stuff. Charges depending, because we are hoping to hear about that at some point before the start of next season. And Arsenal will definitely strengthen. And can't draw as many games as we have this season, surely. So
if they sort them disciplinary issues out, Arsenal might give themselves a chance.
Oh, this is you don't need to do that. That's another podcast on another day. PGMOL based podcast, but
of course.
What do you think the turning point was for Liverpool this season when people started taking him seriously?
Quite early doors, I think. I think people they flew at the blocks, and there was if you remember, a lot of the talk earlier year it was they've not played anybody yet. They've not played anybody yet. Everyone kept saying they've not played anyone yet, and then by that at one point they were like 15 games in, and only Nottingham Forest had beat them.
Yeah,
and it was okay. They've played quite a lot of them here, and they're winning a lot of these games.
For me, I obviously thought that and I'm in that camp where they hadn't played anyone yet, and then they played us at the Emirates, and despite Van Dijk, who should have been sent off early on in the match, it was 2-2, and they made a good show of it, and we had a goal disallowed at the end, which was totally unjust. But that match finished 2-2, and then at that point you have to think, we're quite a distance behind them already. We need to start making up some ground. And that's when you think, they might be on it here. And they just look like they were in such a groove. Salah especially was just the man. And
they were sweeping everyone aside. And it wasn't just here. Like, they finished top of the league in Europe, didn't they? The Swiss Premier League. They were sweeping everybody aside. They were obviously got to League Cup final. The FA Cup didn't quite go their way, which we talked about at the time. But they were just blitzing everybody apart.
True. And then, like we said about the stuttering, yes, they may have, even if they're like they won't and they haven't, but even if they did limp over the line, it's still over the line. you're still there first.
True, but the actual stats don't back that up. When you look at it now, they've won. Like they've just keep winning.
It's just the signs. It's the signs of hope that kill us rival fans that are like, oh, they've drawn, or like, oh,
they were kept going behind, didn't they? They were going behind in games occasionally.
It was that, and then it just gives you that. Well, sooner or later they're not going to come back. They just kept doing. They've won 25 games at this point. 4 to play. Like I said, they're still on for breaking. I think they can still reach 92 points, 94 points, maybe. I'm not sure what we're at. But yeah,
I knew it was 90s.
That wins the league most seasons.
But pre-City win the league every year.
Yeah. So it's an incredible achievement. They deserve it. No one else does, and that's the long and short of it. Whether they can go again, personally, I believe there will be too much change this summer for them. Now, why I think we all thought that last season, sort of maybe before the transfer window would shut, because you expect a new manager coming in and the changes to happen. Now, when them changes don't happen in terms of personnel through the door, you're starting to think, has he got a tired squad here, or has he already got a settled squad and just having a new guy with the fresh ideas? And that's obviously what it's turned into. This season, it's going to be a little bit more. There's probably too many more variables this season for me, whether they will go again.
I don't know. I think next season is going to be really interesting. I think Liverpool can be better. I'm also looking at Newcastle and more and thinking, in the next 3 years, they are going to push for a title running.
So that Champions League slot is so important.
Yeah, that really elevates them, because they just don't need to sell Isak then. Like it really changes the whole, and they can maybe themselves bring 2 or 3 in, and I think that's how close they are, 2 or 3 good players away.
The truth is, they don't need to sell Isak at all, but Isak will want to leave.
Yeah, that's a better way of putting it. Yeah,
Liverpool, maybe in the running for him, are probably the ones closest on ten's hooks to think if Newcastle don't get top 5 at this point, they might be the ones to go and put the stamp on Isak. Anyway, that's where we sit. Any final closing thoughts on Liverpool?
No, I think we've covered quite a lot of the angles there, but well done to Liverpool.
Well done, Liverpool. Hope you enjoy it. Hope all the fans have got searing, piercing, painful headaches and bowel movements over this rest of this week. And you deserve it for all the pain you've caused me this season. So well done. We'll have a break.
Yep.
And we are back. Liam, it's been a while since we spoke. This is our 101st episode, and we're back live. We're full-time video podcasters now.
Yes, I did think about that earlier. This is like the first proper video when we're not just sort of like, I don't know, just
Googling World Cup quizzes.
Yeah, just messing about. This is like an actual video. I'm really trying to focus on my facial expressions and not
I'm trying to look down. I'm trying to look at
I know, because sometimes I know when someone else is talking, sometimes I can just be like, I could go off them. Yeah, so I'm trying to make sure I at least look like I'm listening.
How have you been? Is that your knee?
Yeah, it's still pretty sore when I'm running. I'm not 100% what's up with it, but I think like runner's knee is a thing, isn't it? Because obviously I'm someone who didn't run before, and now I run now. And obviously in that time I've weighed quite heavily. So I think there's quite a bit of strain on my knee, and I think it's manifesting a little bit into every time. But the problem is, as we've talked about ourselves in our little group, we've got a run coming up. So stopping training now isn't really an option.
No.
So I'm just it's not painful enough to stop me completely, but it is slowing me down quite significantly. But I'll be all right. You know, there's worse things in the world. It's just a little bit of a sore knee, but I'll be okay. It's not the suspected ACL, which I thought it might have been when it first started happening.
Yeah.
How's your training going, man? Yes, I did. I thought in my head, I thought that was assumed, but now I'm still getting used to these interactions. So how's your training going, Martin?
These you got human interactions. These
Well, yeah, just like I'm gonna feel like I'm gonna. Yeah, we're still.
My training's going okay. I'm having shockwave therapy for plantar fasciitis at the moment, which is all right. I think it's helping. That's some physio's been dead cool though, so I'm sticking with that. I've got 3 weeks till the 10K. I've been doing a lot of DIY on my feet because baby is due in 7 weeks, and we've got rooms to decorate and our daughter to prepare, and life is just life in big time. Full dad mode at the moment, which is fun.
That's good. I mean, you did concern me with you'll need to sort things out for paternity break.
Yeah.
When you've brought this new system in there, I feel like you've quite a lot of faith in me there, mine. That's quite.
I believe in throwing people in at the deep end.
Okay.
Sometimes
they drown though, so we'll see how they get.
Take it as a positive, or
well, I will maybe spend some time at a weekend actually seeing what the software looks like when we've decided on which of the versions we go with.
Fingers crossed, we've got 7 weeks to worry about
that.
Okay. Football stuff.
Football stuff.
Championship is done in terms of promotion.
Yeah. So Burnley and Leeds, which there's 3 teams at the top there: Burnley, Leeds, and Sheffield United. And I've got to admit, I don't like any of them. So it's quite the 3 quite unlikable clubs in my view.
Apologies, I'm not happy to see any of them come up. I don't care.
But I think of all of them, the most unlikable is Chris Wilder's Sheffield United. So I'm kind of not pleased that they didn't go up because I'm sure they've got nice fans as well. But Chris Wilder just really gets under my skin. I'm not, I know people like to say someone lives in your head rent free. It's not that, but I'm not sitting there thinking about him all the time. But whenever I see him, I'm like, oh, yeah.
And moving swiftly on, League One is done. Promotion.
Yep, Birmingham and Wrexham. So the 2 biggest wage budgets get promoted. So that's good. Also, on a late running, Charlton were very pushing and quite close. You might remember I actually tipped them as well as someone who might bring. So it's done, and I think now it's a straight shoot off for that last playoff place between Leyton Orient and Reading.
Bolton are done.
Bolton are done. Bolton been done for a while now. It's been a really poor end to the season.
You're happy to see the back of this season now?
It could have been. It's a season that started badly, got worse, then there was a little bit of hope, and then that hope was pissed on. So,
yeah,
to be honest, I'm not glad because obviously I would have loved to have been in the playoffs and given it a go, but I'm at ease with it all now, and I think a football with a season ender without the playoffs, and then without like a World Cup or a Euros, it's actually going to be nice to have a little bit of a break from being over invested in the football. So watching football is a little bit, our season's going to finish this weekend.
Yeah.
The last game of the season at home to Stevenage, which I still can't believe they're in our division. I had to check that when I saw it on my phone. I was like, no, what Stevenage? So we've got a game against Stevenage this weekend. And then we're going to be quite a long break, which will probably, I think, help me not fall in love with it again, but
get excited again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, anyone who's supported a team that's gone through a season like this where you've really got nothing to play for towards the end, you do get a bit sick of the football. So I
want to circle back to the Championship in a second, but Wrexham 3 promotions in a row. It's pretty special, that, isn't it? Like, you can say what you want about the money and the show, and I know people have slated them off, and you might not be their biggest fan, but like, it is pretty special what they've been doing there.
I mean, yeah, it's a fantastic, it is a fantastic achievement. Obviously, the things that you mentioned have played a big part in that, but they've still done it. So it's not an easy thing. Like, there are some good sides in League One. I do think it was an easier League One, which I talked about earlier
Yeah, at the start of the season, aside from the obviously the big bucks of Birmingham, it was a bit of a toss-up between like
Stockport, Wrexham, Bolton,
yeah.
Charlton. There was a few teams I thought could have pushed, but they've done it, and they made a good signing.
Parkinson's done it as well. Like he's been part of that all the way through as well. I really do like that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting how Parky gets on in the Championship.
Championship's a different animal, isn't it?
Well, they're not gonna be the big players in that division.
Not even close.
No, I would not be surprised to see some external investment in that club over the summer.
I'm counting on it. I am totally expecting it.
So, and we'll keep an eye on for that because it's a very different beast. And the problem is, even with a cash injection, you are now under the scrutiny of PSR. So they have got to think much differently. You've got, do they have a director of football? I'm not sure they even do.
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know that. I'm not that deep enough, and I haven't watched enough of the series to know that for a fact.
No, I've not watched the most recent one. I think I said earlier in an earlier episode. Once I started seeing our name popping up in Welcome to Wrexham, I was like, I'm not watching this. Like, I'm not watching this anymore. So
yeah, fair enough. But the Championship. So this weekend, as this is going out, they're into their last weekend as well, and the relegation battle has been the one up until I think maybe 10 days ago. Every team in the league could either be promoted or relegated.
There was a statistical chance that either one of the two things could happen to each of the clubs, isn't it?
Nothing was resolved, and from about 10th down could still been relegated, and from about 12th up could still achieve promotion, which is unbelievable. Like the points tallies that they get, and it just this just goes back to our previous point how tough the different animal the Championship is. You've got teams like Leicester coming down, and Leicester a massive club. Even Ipswich and Southampton coming down is going to be a massive challenge for everybody. The teams that don't make it up each year just get stronger, like Blackburns and Middlesbroughs and Sunderlands and stuff. They just keep getting stronger as well. You've got a massive set, and I wanted to highlight the teams who were looking like they're going to go down. So Cardiff are already down. Plymouth are all but down, other than like a 20-goal swing or something this weekend, and everything is going in their favour. And then we're looking at Hull, Luton, Preston, Derby, and Stoke. And you had it down somewhere. All still in with a shout of going down. Is 4 go down in it? Is 4 teams go down or 3 go down?
Three
go down. Right. So
it's an interesting one. It really is. I mean,
Stoke are almost safe. Stoke need a point, I think.
Yeah, Preston have really, really dive bombed these last few weeks. Like they were not in that mix at all. And
when we played them in the League Cup, I think it was November time, they were, pushing for a promotion spot. They were about, 7th or 8th in the Championship at some point. They were okay.
Yeah, so that is an interesting one. I mean, I was just having a quick look at the table myself, just to, if you was wondering why I'm looking away, I can't get away with that now. But
I've been telling him, listeners, I have been telling him, for 98 weeks.
It's just outrageous, that form. That's the reason I wanted to look. I knew Preston had slept what, but like they've lost 4 of the last 5, and drawn the most recent one.
But Luton 2 relegations in a row is stinky town. And for any of Preston, Derby, and Stoke to go down after, just being Preston, not so much, but being stalwarts in the Championship for a long time. Derby and Stoke are massive clubs.
I mean, let's have a look at these final day games as well. So
Preston are away at Bristol, and that's the early one. Unless they're all out.
Oh no, they're all 12:30. They'll all be 12:30.
Oh, they're all 12:30. Sorry.
Derby and Stoke play each other.
Yes, that is the one.
Plymouth at home to Leeds. That's an interesting one. They're down, aren't they? That Leeds will be chasing the title.
Yeah.
In that game. Oh, it's Hull away at Portsmouth. Portsmouth aren't playing for anything, so that's a bit kinder, I think. One of the weaker sides that isn't in the mix.
That's what they want to go for. You want them ones who players are going on holiday the morning after and stuff.
It'll be great viewing. It will be good viewing. Not if you're a fan of one of those teams, it'll be horrendous. But having someone who's watched those kind of games in the past, I honestly
think Wrexham fans should be really watching this as a precursor to what might happen next season. And just you look at them, that's 6-7 clubs. If you count Cardiff, who were in the Premier League not too long ago as well.
Well,
Plymouth, who have touched the playoffs in recent seasons as well. Like these are massive clubs who are going to be having massive potential changes to that club.
Plymouth, they're a horrendous appointment of Wayne Rooney. And they are paying the price.
Big time.
What I will say, though, in slightly more positive news in terms of that division, what a season for Oxford. Because Oxford, they made a bold call in sacking Des Buckingham. I think it's Des Buckingham. Yeah, they made a bold sacking there and to bring in... now I'm testing my Football League knowledge in here. Whoa, what's his name?
Insert new manager name here.
Oh, yeah. Insert safe pair of hands championship manager type.
Who are we looking at? You waffle for a second.
Why I cannot remember his name.
Anyway, they replaced the manager.
Yeah, and they brought in a safe pair of hands championship manager type and turned it around and got themselves safe. And I did not give them a hope of staying up.
Gary Rowett,
there it is. Safe pair of hands championship type. That's exactly it. Yeah, so, I did not give them an absolute hope of staying up, and they have done it, so well done to them.
Yeah. That is going to be exciting news. And that is Championship and League One wrapped up. I haven't looked at League One relegation, but I'm also not that fussed, and Bolton are nowhere near it, so that keeps us out of the conversation.
Yeah, it's not really an EFL podcast. We never, we don't really stray too far from Bolton or me sort of moaning about Wrexham. So that tends to be where we go.
The FA Cup was this weekend.
Yes, it was.
And the semi-finals are done, and we have a final. And hopefully, I'm hoping, and I hope you're like me, that you really want Palace to get the job done.
Does anyone not want that, by the way?
Crystal Palace beat Aston Villa 3-0, which, by the way, on its own is in the league, that's a fantastic result. To do it in the Champions League, an FA Cup semi-final is unbelievable. I'm really happy for him because I think that Glasner has that team. I say I'm happy for him. They dicked us in the week, but that was just a sign of things to come. I think what Glasner has them doing is great work. They get the best out of Eze. Adam Wharton looks an absolute £100 million player whenever he's playing.
There's a few of them there. There's some serious talent in that Palace team.
What Glasner has done with Mateta, I mean, I've been quoted in the past as labelling big stiff idiots. He was number 2 right up there with Chris Wood. Both of it, he was absolute barn door dog shite when he turned up.
But then you look at Gay behind, and that's a complete spine, that, innit? That's Mateta, Eze, Wharton, Gay. That is a spine of a team. And it's littered with other players around there that are really, really good players.
Yeah, you look at like Will Hughes, who just turns up and just does a job like ridiculously.
Henderson in goal.
Fantastic. Yeah, he's really done a shift this season so far.
Yeah, really unsung hero of that team.
Big time. Yeah, I totally agree. Is it Mitchell? The fullbacks?
Tyrek Mitchell, yeah.
They've been great.
Out of the England ponds, isn't he under Tuchel?
Yeah.
He was getting a look in under Southgate.
But we'll see. I think we at the Fixing Football podcast can safely throw our full support behind Crystal Palace.
Well, last week we all see. Yeah, I was going to say last week we were all Palace fans, weren't we, in the other podcast? Yeah.
So, and Man City obviously got the job done against Forest. Didn't put up enough of a fight for me, Forest, in that one, but it's City. City look like they're just cranking the shaft a little bit. They're just cranking the shaft might be a bit of a bad turn of phrase. I was trying to think of the word.
They're turning the screw. Not cranking the shaft. They're turning the screw.
Yeah.
It's harder to edit these now with video in the mind. You need to make sure.
I don't. This is a job out of my hands now. Anyway, City back.
Yeah.
And hopefully that will keep them occupied and we can coast into second place for the rest of the league season.
Yeah. Keep
and
shaft cranking for the rest of the
keep
year.
that shaft away from us. Oh, speaking of Arsenal, so that's FA Cup. We can finish on. I mean, this is going to be live on Tuesday. Arsenal play Tuesday night against PSG at home in the Champions League. Barcelona play Inter in the other one on Wednesday night. Thoughts coming in? What are you thinking?
Any of the four can win it, in my view. But I think I do. I sort of flip flop between who I think is going to win it, and the two that I think are going to win it are either going to be Arsenal or Barcelona.
I did. By the way, I did say Barcelona was my shout at the start of the season. They look like
madness. The job Flick's done in charge of them. They could possibly win a treble.
And Real Madrid are doing everything they can to fuck everything up in the league. Like Barcelona, in a way, like Liverpool are almost stuttering away to the line. They've picked up the odd draws and losses, but Real Madrid are just absolutely heads gone at the moment. It started even before we played them, but they're doing everything.
Pressure like no other, Real Madrid.
Massively, yeah.
They've won it all these last few years, and Ancelotti's been booted out the door.
But let's focus on Arsenal for the last few closing minutes. This is massive. It's all last season now. If you look at our last three league results in between the Real Madrid matches and then this one, we've drawn 3 in a row. Everton, Fulham, and Crystal Palace, which they should have been bankers. Really. Should be taken.
You're one of a number of sides where it's all in on Europe.
Yeah,
you don't really see this that often. And I've got 3 clubs that are all doing the same thing. You don't really see it that much.
PSG,
United,
at the
and
weekend.
Tottenham.
Yeah, well, them two as well. Yeah, we haven't even mentioned that, but we'll come to that next week. Let's focus on the big prize here. Barcelona are hoping to have the league wrapped up in the next week or so. I believe it can go that far.
Yep.
Inter Milan are in a massive title race with Napoli at the moment, but Napoli are pulling away. If that's right, am I right there?
Yeah, Inter have been in the box seat for quite a while.
Yeah,
last few months, but Napoli have just edged ahead this weekend with McTominay scoring 2 and a 2-0 win for them. So they are just pulling away at the last minute.
And PSG are obviously steamrolling away. I'm not sure if it's already confirmed.
Can they go undefeated though?
They lost at the weekend.
Did they lose at the weekend? No, so that's gone. No one's done it in France. I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know that result had happened. I've not seen all the football this weekend because I was on a stag do. So
yeah. So yes, that ended, which is positive because if you're looking for a way to beat them and you've been struggling all season, they've only lost 2 games all season, and one is the first match with Arsenal. In fact, I'm not sure they must have lost in the Champions League as well because they finished in the mid stage. They were pretty poor early on.
Yeah, they were struggling a little bit early, those, weren't they? Them and City were like close to not qualifying for the
that's true.
Next part.
If you remember when Arsenal played them first time round, Dembele, there was some disciplinary issues with Enrique, and he was left out. And Dembele has since gone on to absolutely take the league by storm. Combine that with signing Kvaratskhelia and the lad in midfield who's just an absolute joy to watch. Is it Vitinha?
Vitinha.
Is that who I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a joy. Which means they play so well that they've got 2 number 9s on the bench who get in most Premier League sides in Ramos and I can't think of the other guy. And then you got Barcola. They've got a fantastic team. It's just been a matter of time whether someone can pull it together, and it looks like
it's a very good manager, Luis Enrique. Though.
Who'd have thought the answer was getting rid of Mbappe, Neymar, and Messi?
Well, yeah, it's very true.
So it's an intriguing match. Can I have your predictions? Let's do this.
Oh, it really the first leg's away, isn't it?
No, first leg is at Emirates.
At the Emirates.
Which, by the way, I'm going to say I do prefer. I think it's in our favour because our defense. Let's face it, our defense is our strongest point, and
I've got no idea. I've got no idea this game's going to go, but I suspect you'll win your home game. So I'm going to go 3-1 Arsenal.
I'm thinking 2-0. I don't see us conceding.
Really?
Really, at home especially, yeah. I think it's going to be a bit of a special atmosphere tonight. And at 2-0, like I said, and I said this when we played Real Madrid, 2-0 is dream street to take to the away leg for us to be able to defend that. We haven't conceded 3 goals in over 2 years in a match. So to at that, like I was saying a couple of weeks ago, to be able to take 2-0 to the Bernabeu was like dreaming, and we went there 3-0 up. So
yeah,
I think 2-0 is not an unrealistic scoreline, and I'm saying it. I'm pretty confident we get through these ties. I think we could beat any of these teams over 2 legs. It's the final that I worry about.
I think I've said those predictions there with absolutely no certainty whatsoever. I think these games could go anyway. I do think they could go anyway.
But I'm so excited. It's like them league matches that I mentioned earlier, the draws. I was not up for them or asked at all about any of them. It was just, and much like the players' performance, all about the Champions League matches.
Yeah.
And that's all I was worried about.
This is all it's come down to.
And that's the state. That's where we're at. It's not a horrible place to be.
Good luck to Arsenal tonight.
See, I always worry about your sincerity. When
you should, really. But we'll see. I'm sure, I'm sure everyone in England.
Here it comes. Here it comes. Here it comes. The dig.
There's no dig. There's no dig. It's a massive game. It's a massive game. And you've done very well to get to a Champions League semi-final. But there is an opportunity to go and achieve greatness, which is what winning a Champions League is.
It's very true. And we shall wrap it up there. I hope that everything has turned out well and everyone has seen this as they were meant to see it and heard it as they were meant to hear it. You can see Liam there looking beautiful and slim and sleek.
Oh.
His room's a mess, but he's looking very
well.
The
blur's not really sorting me out there. I thought it'd be better than that.
I need to sort out my shelves in.
Yeah.
Other than
that,
in
a green screen just behind me.
It's all going to look nice and fancy soon, but we're getting there. With your help. So if you could please go and like and share and subscribe and get involved. If you want to come and talk to us, come and let us know your thoughts, what needs fixing in football. We haven't really fixed much today because we're sort of wrapping up the season a little bit and we've done a bit of a preview. But our main job is to be fixing the world and fixing this game. Much like the PGM will have for Liverpool this season. With that, we will leave you and love you. Liam, catch you soon. Bye, everyone.
I will. Bye, everyone.